Can you believe it? It's here. It is this weekend. WrestleMania 41, Sin City, Las Vegas. I am the Ant-Man. He's Michael Glavin, and this is the WrestleChat Podcast. I'm super excited about this weekend, and it doesn't, as we record, it doesn't quite feel like we're almost there. We had, we were recording this on a Tuesday, and we just had the last Raw before WrestleMania, which we could touch on some of that, but it's just kind of like, okay, I kind of just glance at the Raw and glance at the SmackDown because nobody's going to do anything crazy on either one of those shows.
Nope.
Anything it's going to, and I think that's really what the most of Raw was just a lot of pre-tapes, a lot of packages. Yes, there were a few things in the ring, and we're not going to dive into Raw necessarily. We're going to run over all the matches. I think the first thing we really need to run over though is this right here. This is what you're having for WrestleMania. This is the weekend lineup right here.
This is the weekend lineup, and if I may, I would like to take just a brief moment. Mm-hmm. So these are not just ham and cheese sliders, my friend. That's
the first one I noticed. I need a clarification there. So thank you.
So Hawaiian rolls.
Yep. Like
Black Forest ham.
Okay.
Provolone and mozzarella.
Okay. One on each side or both together? Each side of the ham or both together?
Separate.
The cheese. Okay.
Yeah,
so
you gotta
cheese
on
each side of the ham. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Butter, minced garlic, minced onion drizzled over the entirety of those Hawaiian rolls and ham. Throw it in the oven. Okay. Let the butter, onions, and everything crisp up, and you have this very like garlicky hot sandwich bite. Mm-hmm. Real cheesy, kind of salty from the ham and like the butter and stuff.
Yeah,
super good. And to go along with that, of course, just your traditional little smokies, leaning more toward a barbecue flavor rather than the jelly flavor. I don't like sweet entrees, if you will.
Sure. Yeah.
And then a pesto dip. It's a brick of cream cheese with basil pesto poured over it. Throw it on the grill. Let it smoke for about a half hour, 45 minutes.
Okay.
Get that flavor inside of the cream cheese and the pesto. This really smoky, savory bite. You eat it with wheat thins.
Okay.
And it's a really good thing. And then Sunday,
it's your little dose of healthy in this menu was wheat thin.
It's WrestleMania, awesome. Man.
There you go. That's
and then Sunday.
That's night one. Okay, that's good.
Sunday's going to be your typical steakhouse meal. We've got a butcher here that does dry age, so I'm going to go get some dry age ribeyes or sirloins.
Excellent.
I'm rocking a new meat thermometer, so I've been just nailing temperatures.
Excellent.
Made a ribeye the other night. Beautiful medium rare. Mini potatoes in the air fryer, then smash them when they come out. So it's kind of like a smashed potatoes type thing.
I like
steamed green beans in a salt and garlic butter drizzle.
Okay.
And then buffalo chicken dip, can't beat that. And then these last two things.
This is the one I needed clarification on. Boiled peanuts?
Yeah.
What's that about?
Boiled peanuts. Okay, so I'm not even from the South, but boiled peanuts is a big thing in the South. I had it in the Midwest, and they taste like saltier kind of green beans, if you will. That's the closest. It's still different. I'm not having green beans twice.
Yeah.
But like I would encourage you, it's sold at pretty much every grocery store in a can. It's peanuts, salt, and water. And
interesting.
You eat those, dude, they are so good. If you're watching this right now and you know boiled peanuts, comment for Ant and tell him what's up.
Yeah, and also please comment with what your menus are, because that's always a big deal. Now, to tell you this, I haven't fully planned it out. I do know it includes a smoked pork butt and wings. So a lot on the smoker and grill for the fam here. So we got kind of coming in and leaving all during Mania. So, coming in on Friday, leaving probably after church on Sunday, more than likely. So Sunday's Mania watching for us is going to be solo backyard, celebrating the resurrection and hopefully the retention of a title from Cody. I was trying to alliterate there. I don't know how close I got, and I'm not sure that if I may end up being blasphemous trying to combine Easter weekend and wrestling, which WWE, that blood is on your hands then. You're the one who put WrestleMania this weekend. That is, it's still in my craw.
Nonetheless, of all years to do it on Easter, you do it the year you're in Vegas. It's a little.
Man, you're going all in on the dark side. I'd say that. Let's jump into this. We're still gonna have some fun here. I want to start off something I noticed. That was Booker T making a comment about Steve Austin and Bret Hart's match going into the Hall of Fame. Now that's coming up on Friday night. Crazy 10 p.m. Vegas time, which for me is midnight, and for you is 1 a.m. Is it safe to say maybe we just start Saturday with the Hall of Fame? Can we just watch the Hall of Fame on Saturday morning for us?
I mean, there's a lot of great things happening at Hall of Fame. I will watch it definitely the next morning. Triple H is my guy. He was the first guy that I was super into as a kid when I first got into wrestling. I remember the earliest memories I have was his feud with like Shawn Michaels and Scott Steiner, kind of that era that he was the world heavyweight champion. Shawn Michaels doing the 3 stages of hell with Triple H at Armageddon that particular year. And then he had a long program with Scott Steiner. But yeah, I will be watching that on Sunday because it's Triple H. I'm not staying up for him. No offense, bro. But I gotta watch.
Well, no matter what, you're watching it Saturday morning, because even if you watch it live, it's already Saturday morning for you.
Yeah,
I guess me too. But Ed Booker T complaining about not the match going into the Hall of Fame necessarily. His big point was that they were getting rings for it. I don't know why he cares so much. It needs to be a plaque, is what he says. They need to get a plaque for the best match or for the match going into the Hall of Fame, whatever they're calling this, historical moment, Hall of Fame moment, whatever it's. We'll find out on Saturday really what the moniker is going to be for it. But he's like, nah, I don't think they should get rings. They need to get plaques. Does it matter to you?
Actually, am I going to die on the hill? No, but I actually agree with him.
Do you?
If you put it into any other context, wrestling can obscure the thought process a little bit. Think about it like this. Remember a couple years ago when I think it was the Seahawks tried to run the ball to win the Super Bowl when they should have passed it? Do you remember that whole thing? It was a few years ago. Yeah. So let's just for the sake of funny, we're going to pick a bad moment to go into the Hall of Fame. But imagine the NFL started going, we're going to put individual plays into the Hall of Fame. Yeah. And every person that was a part of that play gets the Lombardi trophy. Gets the ring or the Lombardi trophy or whatever. Like when you put it in that context, it's not, I don't think you should get a ring. I think it's 100% acceptable to acknowledge matches that were incredible. I love that idea. Yeah. But I don't think you should get a ring for it because that's the signet of a body of work, not just one moment. You get a plaque for a moment, you get a ring for a body of work.
All right, we got 2 for plaques, 1 for ring on this. We got you and Booker T are erring on the side of plaques. You may be able to convince me to move into that. Might be, especially if there was something like an actual Hall of Fame to go visit, and you get some details about this match and behind the scenes, and maybe a plaque and some details about whatever, or some little video that plays with people talking about it. I don't know. It'd be nice to have that.
I just feel like we got to be careful with Hall of Fame because you got guys like Ric Flair, I think, or even Triple H now. I mean, he's got his ring from going in with DX and now he'll get a ring, but like it cheapens it if you're a guy walking around with 3 Hall of Fame rings. Somebody has 3 and I can't remember who it is. It might be Flair.
It might be Flair.
But all that to say, I think there does need to be some distinction, but hey, I'm not Nick Khan, so
Flair's going for 16 rings is what he's actually looking for. That's what he's trying to get to. Let's talk about ticket prices before we jump into the matches coming up on Saturday and Sunday. Imagine being there and being in the hub. We were there last year in Philly. In fact, we were talking about it before we started today. And so we had to, because we found out we were going so late, we had to actually stay in New Jersey. So it was a little bit of drive. We had to do some commute via Uber and what else we use. What else is there?
And yes, everything you've heard about Jersey is true.
All I know is we were really close to the Dunkin' Donuts, and it kind of saved our breakfast mornings. We're not spending $40 at the buffet at the hotel. every time. We can just walk over and get a donut or a sandwich. That was pretty nice. But the trek in each time and the trek back was the big thing. And I'm glad, that this town, Las Vegas, made for something like WrestleMania, because literally the city is a hotel. That's what the whole thing is built. And then a casino in the bottom of it, right? So there's plenty of rooms, plenty of ways to get to where you need to go. Yeah, still a little congested, but some places you can just walk to, and it's actually made for that. Philly was not made for that.
And a lot of it's on one street.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think that this will help a lot. But think about this: buying tickets for WrestleMania. Now, if you had the chance to watch we haven't talked about it yet. Did you watch the WrestleMania 9 documentary on Peacock yet?
I have not had a chance to yet, but I intend to.
It's a little less about what WrestleMania 9. It was more about the spectacle being in Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. And that was the last time that Mania was in Las Vegas, and where WWE or WWF was at that time. Ticket prices. Now, I will tell you, they grossed over $1 million, but the ticket prices, the most expensive ticket was $250. It went $250. I believe it went $250 to $150 to $75 to $25. Those were the tiers of tickets. This year, now I got this doing some research this week. The average ticket price for WrestleMania 41 varies depending on the source and seating options. According to TickPick, the average price, I had to be sure to enunciate that. TickPick, the average price for a 2-day pass, is $3,105.03. There's another source, Wrestle Snark on Threads, reported an average of $3,232.95. That's for 2-day tickets. And that's the average. So you've got ticket prices ranging just all over the place, but based on seat location, demand. Also have like in-demand tickets, and that fluctuates the price of a ticket in an area depending on the demand of it. That's the way they're structuring most things now when it comes to well, if you have a lot of people going for tickets, we're going to throw them up there really high. And if they're kind of calming down, well, they'll kind of settle into a price, but you don't get, the choice pick, right. Of the seat. But if you got, you can get as low as $381 for 2 days. A single day pass, the cheapest one is $149.
Wow.
I went to 38 in Dallas, and I think I paid a little over $100 for medium tier tickets. Now, you think about that $149 ticket. That's the top one and probably limited view.
Right.
And that it goes all into but the average ticket price is over $3,000 for 2 days.
Anything above the mezzanine is restricted view when you're looking at a 20 by 20 square.
That's exactly right. And I'll tell you that I can't, we sit in the press area at Hall of Fame and SmackDown when we were in Philly, and I'd never sat in the press area. And you guys, if you haven't done, and because I thought this way, and you might still think this way, if you've never been in the press area, oh man, you guys got it made. You got the best place. You can see everything. It was at the top of the building. We could literally sitting in our seats, reach up and touch the top rafter that's actually holding the ceiling.
They actually asked us to change the air filters while we were up there.
Yeah.
Part of the
Michael obliged. Michael obliged. He took care of those for him.
They had popcorn. So, I was like, sure, I'll change the air filters.
If you're like most of us, not going to WrestleMania this year, think about what you're saving by not going to WrestleMania this year. I just got finished doing taxes, and I went back through everything we did at WrestleMania. We're saving a lot of money staying at home this year for WrestleMania, Michael.
Yeah.
You ready to jump into these? Night one,
yes,
night two.
Let's do it.
I want to do this. I want to save the main events from each night to the very, very end. You cool with that? So we'll go through all of them. I don't know if these are in order. We don't know what the order is other than the main event being the last match. Starting on night number 1, Jade Cargill versus Naomi. Now, do something we haven't done before, and I was looking up. There's only one place that I found that lets you bet on WWE matches, PLE matches, specifically WrestleMania 41 matches, and that is a place called mybookie.ag. They haven't sponsored this podcast. We get nothing if you go there and do that, but if you are into betting and you want to do that, I can't in Texas. They don't allow you to bet on these, but I did get to see the odds, and it kind of tells you that either somebody knows or they're hearing something from somebody that knows where things are going, or maybe they're just seeing the obvious. This one being Jade Cargill versus Naomi. Jade is minus 600, Naomi plus 350. So if, do you know much about betting odds? And do you know how those work?
Yeah,
I didn't.
know how they work.
Okay, so if you want to bet on Jade Cargill, you got to bet $600 in order to make $100. Mm-hmm. If you bet on Naomi $100 and she wins, then you get $350. So I just learned that, and it's still I have to think about it when I look at them too. So growing up in a place
I can't do the math like that, but I know what it means.
Yeah. So there you go. That's where it stands. So it tells you that something is saying that Jade Cargill coming out on top. Now, I feel this was a story that was told, but not really tied together until the closer we got to WrestleMania this year. And that being that Naomi was the one that launched Jade into the hood and the glass of that car back in the parking lot. Although we didn't see it happen, we saw the aftermath, and then comes out later that it is Naomi confessing to her tag team partner, Bianca Belair at the time, because she took the place of Jade as the tag team champion. I don't know how you do that. You just step into somebody else's belt.
Freebird rule.
It must have been a Freebird rule for sure. But so you had them tagging, and then at Elimination Chamber, we saw Jade come back and go. We thought we're going right after Liv, and no, she turned her attention toward Naomi and beat her down there in the corner. What are you invested in this matchup at night one of WrestleMania, Michael?
I think it had all the elements to work, but I think there's something about it that's not hitting. To be honest with you, I don't know. If I were to go look at a few promos and rewatch them, I could probably tell you who's working face and who's working heel, but sure. I'm confused because when Jade came back, she was wearing all black, and then Naomi was wearing all black. And it seems like they're telegraphing that, like, we don't know what's going on. So no, I'm not really vested in it. I don't have, this is no offense. You know, we disclaimer this every time. This isn't personal, but I'm not expecting much of a physical bout either. I mean, I think Jade is good at what she does. I think she's super into it right now, but I just don't think she has the reps on a stage this big. And I think that still shows a little bit. It will come with time. She is a star. It's not if, it's just when.
Just when,
yeah. And so not really vested in this match, but I'm happy to be surprised.
They're already even teasing Jade versus Charlotte. Just giving little hints of it as Jade walks by Charlotte. I don't remember what the circumstance was, but Jade was leaving, going down the entrance ramp, and they hit the music for Charlotte. Charlotte comes out, and they kind of just look at each other as Jade passes by. If there's a lot of great things and a lot of great women wrestlers, I don't think there's a lot of great stories with women wrestlers in the right. in the main card of WWE right now. And I don't know why I'm not invested in this Jade Naomi, because it kind of hints back to Stone Cold being run over in the parking lot and going away for a while and coming back, and that was a great story back then. The payoff, I don't know, not so much, but the story was big then.
That same Triple H Shawn Michaels feud that I referenced a few minutes ago, they had one of these too, and there's actually a famous clip where Shawn Michaels was coming in from satellite, and he goes, "It was you, Hunter." And then Triple H gets this big grin on his face and turns heel and the whole thing. But yeah, it's a storyline that's been proven to work, but for some reason it just hasn't hit here.
And I don't know if it's because of time or if they haven't taken the time to actually show us any backstory with these two. I'm not sure. I'm like you. I don't know why I'm not invested in this, but I don't feel super invested in this. But the thing is I want to be.
Yeah.
In both of the, I mean, we missed Naomi when she was gone. Glad she's back. So glad that Jade has moved over to WWE, and what looks like a great relationship with Naomi and with Bianca Belair. I'd love to see them have the time and the ability to tell us a great story. So all that to say with that match, I don't have high hopes for it, but I feel there are seeds being planted that in the future that could be something really good, especially with Jade, obviously.
I will say, like, just overall women's division, as
Mhm.
we look at the whole women's side for the WrestleMania card, I think we're in a rebuilding
Yeah,
season
I can see
for the
that.
women's division. I'm seeing a lot of, like, you got your Roxanne Perez's, your
Oh,
Lyra
love her.
Valkyria's.
Yep.
Like, you've got that crop that's coming up, but just aren't quite there yet. And so I think we're going to be a little dry going into Mania, maybe
Maybe.
coming out of Mania in the women's division. Not because I don't think they can do it. I just think we're in kind of a rebuilding, resetting a lot of storylines, positioning some people, that type of thing.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. Agreed. Moving over to the WWE tag titles. I believe these a world or tag? I can't remember either, or world or WWE. It's War Raiders, who are the champs, going up against the New Day. The New Day is favored to win in this, according to the betting odds, -700 versus +400 for the War Raiders. This one not a huge build for this story either. You've mentioned it before. I kind of felt that there was more invested in another group, a group that just came in from TNA just a little bit ago. Why am I blanking on their name when I just said this?
Motor City Machine Guns.
Thank you. I knew it had something to do with guns. Why am I blanking? Motor City Machine Guns. And I thought that the story, I felt that there was more excitement in that than I do with the New Day. And I do love the War Raiders, especially since they got their name back.
Yeah.
Instead of playing Vikings on TV, we get to see just some guys that are ready to throw down in the ring. But you got them as champs taking on the New Day. It looks like somebody knows something about the New Day taking these titles at Mania. If they do, does that mean anything to you? I don't really feel it does to me.
I think we went a little too indie too fast in the tag division. I don't dislike anybody. I don't dislike Motor City Machine Guns. I don't dislike War Raiders. I think we didn't know what to do, so we threw some titles on people for a little while, and we saw
With
the
no
same
story.
thing with no story, and we saw the same thing on the other side too. Because was it Theory and Waller had them for a minute, and I know I'm mixing titles.
I did too. Exactly. Yeah.
But the tag division doesn't seem to have like a clear direction. I actually think putting the titles back on New Day would help that.
Okay.
Give some credibility. I'm not uninvested in this match. I'll watch it, and I'm sure it's going to be a good match, but just doesn't seem like as many bangers this year. We'll see though. We'll see.
You might have to check on the little smokies during that time.
Might have to.
Might have to. Sorry, both of these are kind of letdowns here to start things off. It's kind of what night one has kind of felt like. Let's see if it picks up here as we move along. And we'd love to know what your thoughts are too. Who do you see and why should we be invested? Maybe you are. Maybe you're absolutely New Day fans, or you love the War Raiders, or even back to Jade and Naomi. Maybe you love one of them and you are invested in that story. Share it with us. Tell us why, and tell us what you think about the matchup. Next, we have Rey Mysterio, -150 versus El Grande Americano at +110. This is, I want to say that it's safe to say that Rey comes out of this as a champion. The Hall of Famer comes out of this as the champion. Depends on what they're going to do. And, we've talked about Mania often being the finish of a story or the start of new ones. This clearly is the start of something new. Yeah. El Grande's only 3 weeks old in the WWE, but to get Chad Gable, presumably, a match at WrestleMania.
We don't know that. We don't know that.
You're exactly right. That's true. I'm sorry, I misspoke. But to get him a match at WrestleMania, presumably here, that is pretty cool. Unfortunately, he has to have a mask on that's loaded with lead. It will be fun to see what he does with this character as we move along. And I will say, if nothing else, this is going to be a high-flying, great wrestling match between these two. How you feeling, man?
Very vested in this, not because there's really much story going on, but because Chad Gable is playing an interesting character. It's a callback to the old Vince McMahon, Hulk Hogan, Mr. America angle. And if you're a newer wrestling fan and you don't know that, get on YouTube and Google and YouTube WWE Mr. America. And you will not be disappointed.
Yeah.
But I'm super vested in this. I think it's going to be an absolutely incredible wrestling match. And I think we're vested in it just because of the ridiculousness of knowing that it's Chad Gable without knowing that it's Chad Gable.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm super stoked for this match. And equally because it's going to be a great wrestling match between these two guys. You've got a mat style guy and then a high flyer guy. It's like a match made in heaven. And then just all the character arc with El Grande or whatever his name is.
El Grande, a Grande Americano.
Grande Americano.
Your order at Starbucks now.
Exactly.
Moving on to what some are presumably calling the guy they're calling the future of WWE. It is Jacob Fatu at minus 550 against LA Knight for the U.S. title at plus 325 on the betting odds. I hate that it's against LA Knight, but man, I'll say that I believe that Jacob Fatu is undeniable as your new U.S. champion. Of course, we still have to have the match. Of course, we never know what could happen in the match. Of course, things could go either way. It does feel like that the momentum with Jacob Fatu has a little more steam behind it than the momentum of LA Knight. Yeah. In this match, unfortunately. But that doesn't mean that it's over for LA Knight. This could create something pretty big for both of these guys. I will say that I believe that this is going to be really hard hitting, at least in their interactions in the past couple of weeks. They really, really have been. And I do find it interesting that LA Knight's attention has he's kind of taken over going after the bloodline in this new story, this new phase of the bloodline storyline. And I'm not hating on it. I actually like this matchup, and I think that it could be a battle for these two for the next several PLEs. How you feeling?
Yeah, so I am excited for the match. I don't think there's as much story going into this one. I think it's Jacob Fatu, a dominant force, wanting a title. I was initially really mad about it because I agree. I think if anybody's going to come out on top, it's Jacob Fatu. But then I realized I had to go back to when Gunther was Intercontinental Champion.
Yeah.
And the reality is you got to drop a mid-card title in order to get a main card title.
That's exactly right.
And so I was initially super pissed because I'm like, I don't want LA Knight to get buried. I don't want that to happen. But, seeing LA Knight potentially, if he drops the title to Jacob Fatu, you're gearing up to potentially see what could be Jey Uso versus LA Knight for the World Heavyweight Championship, or Gunther versus LA Knight for the World Heavyweight Championship.
Sure.
And I am there all day for both of those things.
For either one of them.
Yep. Yeah. So again, I'm protective of LA Knight, mainly because I met him in an airport once and he was nice to me. But no, I really like LA Knight. I love Jacob Fatu. I think it's the right thing to put the strap on Jacob Fatu, as long as we don't let LA Knight slip down the card, because he shouldn't. He is very, very good, and we've not seen him in terms of storyline or accolades get what I believe he deserves.
Yeah, I agree. There are two more matches on night one that we're going to hit right here at the beginning. There are three matches total left. First one, let's go to the one that's just been in shambles from the very beginning. Immediately after Charlotte Flair wins the Royal Rumble, that was the peak. And we've gone down, maybe not, but it's just felt like it's just kind of sunk down into where, in fact, these are the betting odds. Both of them negative. Minus 110 is Tiffany, minus 130 is Charlotte. So
Charlotte with a barely edge. Yeah,
exactly. Just barely. And that shows you that there's just not a lot of talk and a lot of rumble around this match on people putting down their money on this. I mean, there was a big discussion on Busted Open this morning when we were recording this on Tuesday. There was a big conversation about them, and both Bully and Dave love Charlotte Flair. I'm not going to get into what my feelings are. You've heard those here on this. I believe the Nepo baby thing is real with her. I think that is the float that has kept her going. If the argument from Dave was that if the match is not good, it's going to be Charlotte's fault in the fans' eyes. And, Bully jumps on and says, if she is the one that messes up this entire, if indeed she just, craps the bed on this match, I'll be the first to come on and say it, but I'll also do the same for Tiffany. There has to be some responsibility for the veteran in this. Yes, Tiffany is the champion. But the person who, the whole reason that so many people love Charlotte, the ones who love her, is because of what she's done in the past. That should give her the edge. And if Tiffany's just not listening, that's a different issue. That's something for WWE to deal with. But if it's just because she doesn't like the new girl, which I don't know that either, but it does feel like that there's something here that is not that it's not the norm of a shoot promo. There's something off, and there's something. It feels very dangerous, and not in a good way. Not in like, oh, I'm going to enjoy this match because it's so dangerous. It is that we're going to see things that we shouldn't see if it just goes too far. And I'm not really into that for this.
Right. I have a couple of thoughts.
I'm not even sure that makes sense, but go. Yeah.
No, it makes perfect sense. Perfect sense. I've heard prominent people in the business say that there's not necessarily characters, that they're just people that are turned up to 11.
Yeah. Right.
And Charlotte, from the moment she came back in the door, acted like she never left. And that's a problem.
Yeah.
Not just being a heel character, it's deeper than that. You can read between the lines. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to protect Tiffy, but at the same time, if John Cena came back and did half the stuff that Charlotte has done and caused that much trouble, we'd be equally as mad at him too. Because there is an expectation on people that have done this for a while. Same thing with Randy Orton, Becky Lynch, even drama queen Sasha Banks. Like if she came back and behaved this way, she would get the same crap.
Yep.
Whatever has happened behind the scenes, whether in her attitude, in the booking, whatever it is, it hasn't worked, and it's been a colossal failure. Yeah. If I was running creative for this match, I would book somebody to come in, slap them both over the head with a chair, steal the title, and run off just to make a point that you guys put pride and personal pettiness above the business.
Yeah.
Think back to, I was watching the beginning of Triple H was on the Flagrant podcast with Andrew Schultz.
Yeah.
And
Great
Triple
podcast.
H even referenced, Triple H even referenced back in the day, like, these guys, these old school wrestlers would protect the business, not only because they loved it, but because it was their living. Like they traveled around and made their living. Protecting the business is something you should care about. Yeah. I'm not even a wrestler, and I know that. and so anyway, getting off my soapbox, I don't want to watch this match. And to be perfectly honest with you, I don't know that I will. Depending on where it lands on the card. And I hate that for Tiffany, because I think she deserves and continues to deserve a push. I hope they don't change the title. I hope they see that putting the strap on Charlotte right now is not the heat that you want. There is a such thing as bad heat, and that's where we're at.
I completely agree. And I know that we share some feelings the same on Charlotte. We have some differences as well, but I completely agree right there that I think that if you put it on Charlotte right now, although we don't know any of the stuff really behind the scenes,
right,
what appears to be like bad behavior would be rewarded. And I don't think anybody, the majority anyway, would be invested. I'm not talking about the IWC. I'm talking about crowds inside the building.
Right, right. The other thing I want to address, kind of what Bully and Dave were saying. How do I put this? I've said this before on this show. There is a perceptual difference between, like, if you're Bully Ray and saying, Charlotte really is that good as a technician and a wrestler, and she deserves that credit. That's fine. I think that that's probably accurate. I think she is a fantastic wrestler. But the mistake that is often made is that regard behind the scenes is translated for push in front of our eyeballs.
Right.
And Bully can be right, and Dave can be right that she could potentially be one of the greatest women's wrestlers of all time. That doesn't mean we want to see her. That doesn't mean that what she's doing is good right now.
Yeah.
She's done plenty. I mean, we look back at her feuds. She's done great work. I'm not taking anything away from her. Just fantastic. But at this place, in this time, she's Roman Reigns 2015, bro. It's middle fingers and potty words all the way home.
Yep.
So
Agreed.
I'm done.
Agreed. Well, and there's a lot of talk whether that should start the show on night one and give Tiffany an opportunity to shine at a WrestleMania. Do that in the very first match. Or do you do it with this one? And my vote is this one. Jey Uso minus 600 on betting odds versus Gunther plus 350, the world title on the line, and a 10-week program that they had to get you invested and then say, hang on a second, and then get you invested again. And I feel that when they were told, or when it was time to turn it back on, both of these guys, including their cousins, their aunts and uncles, and whoever else they want to throw in the ring with them, all turned it on at the exact right time, because I am so stoked for this match. We know it's not going to be the main event. I say it has to be match number one. The whole crowd yeeting as Jey goes to the ring. The whole crowd yeeting when Jey ends that match as the brand new world champion. I said this when we talked about it when he won Royal Rumble, that this is just maybe a couple weeks after that. This is how you should start WrestleMania. It looks like that this is probably the way they're going to start night number one of WrestleMania. I think that you're just as excited as I am about this match, just as invested, and maybe even a little more. You tell me, though.
Well, if you recall, in recent weeks, I talked a lot of crap, platefuls of crap.
When they hit applause, yes.
Yeah, when this, with how things were going. Jey found the Yeet character's sweet spot last night, recording on Tuesday, on Monday Night Raw. All black, slick, shades of Uso Penitentiary, not wearing all the tie-dye, not tie-dye, the neon and, lightning bolt letters and whatever, scratch letters or whatever it is.
Yep. Last
night, Monday Night Raw was the prime evolved version of Yeet Jey Uso.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy to see the subtle differences and changes in all that and how much it made it work. Gunther, incredible promos. Jey, incredible promos. Like, I would say, short of Cody Rhodes, John Cena, I am the most vested probably in this match, just from what has happened over the last 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Yep. In an otherwise 3-month build.
Yep. They brought it all back. Build. I completely agree. We've got one more match for night one. We're going to save that till the end. That being the triple threat with Roman, Punk, and Rollins. Let's move to Sunday. First, we got Bayley and Lyra versus Liv and Raquel for the women's tag titles. That's the only one I don't have betting odds on, and I think that may just be too new for them to have anything on it yet. But this match, I feel like we're kind of starting night two like we started talking about night one. I don't have any interest in any favor. I think it's going to be a great match because, one, I love all four of these ladies. I love that Liv and Raquel are the tag champions again. Honestly, I think I would be completely fine if they left with the tag titles too, because I think you need some build on the tag side, both men and women. Especially on the women's side, we need a win here. I think you have a win here with Liv and Raquel keeping these titles. You might feel different. Tell me.
So here's the funny thing, and I'm going to use this opportunity to knock other spots on the card. I have no reason to be vested in this match. It came last minute. I love everybody involved. I'm probably not going to watch the Charlotte Tiffany match, but I'll watch this one. Yeah. Great players. Yeah. Great. I mean, they'll turn something good out of it, but I just want to take that moment to highlight that, yes, even this match, and it's not that there's anything wrong with it, but we all know it was booked last minute, doesn't have a lot of story into it. That's what I mean. This match, still better than the other one.
Minus 1,500, the biggest one so far. And I think as I look ahead, yes, the biggest of all of them. Minus 1,500, Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest at plus 600 in a Sin City street fight. I love that this is just a battle that has continued for an entire year. Of course, if you remember going back to WrestleMania 40 in Philly last year, you had Drew McIntyre. He had won the world title from Seth Rollins. He bragged about it and stuck it right there in CM Punk's face. That's when CM Punk pulled the leg, swept the leg, and then that's when Damian decided to come in and cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase, becoming the second new world champion of the night. That's when it started, really, and has lasted in different instances all year long, and now bringing it back around to this is what we need on the women's side. Something like this. Start something with Tiffy and Charlotte at this match and make it mean something at WrestleMania 42. Sorry to backtrack there for just a second. But you got Drew McIntyre, Damian Priest on night number 2. Man, I will tell you, after the windshield power bomb or whatever it was, I think this is going to be a fun, and this will be
got some glass in his eye. I think
he did get a little glass in his eye, real glass, Crimea River. This will be the one we see some Sin City blood in as well. If I'm a betting man,
I think this
1,500.
I think this is a sleeper match, to be honest with you. I think this will be really entertaining. I don't think there's a lot of story to it, and I know you're going to kind of go, well, was it at that? What does that mean? Yeah, they've been kind of beefing with each other. That's fine, but these two really haven't had like a real head-on collision from a story perspective, but enough to be aggravated with each other and try and murder each other, apparently. So I'm excited for this match, even though I don't feel like there's a lot cooking going into it. This is one of those rare situations where you got two really good dudes, great story arcs in terms of their general careers. It just works. It's a match that was thrown together. It just works, and I'm excited to see it.
See, yeah, I'm on the opposite side. I feel like there's been story all year long, so I like that in this build up for 41. So that it will be a good. I'm interested to see what they do with a street fight in Las Vegas, though. I wouldn't mind seeing this out on Fremont at some point. We can make that happen. That'd be really cool. All right, moving over to the Fatal 4-Way. Braun Breaker plus 350, Dominic minus 200, Finn at plus 800. He's the long shot. And Penta at plus 200. This is the Intercontinental title match, night number 2. There's a lot of talk. It has been a lot of talk that this is Dominic's time to walk away with this title. I would love to see that, but I also would not be surprised if Braun Breaker just spears them all and takes it home.
Yeah.
I think that there's not this is one I'm okay with multiple people in. There's other ones that there's multiple people in. I'm like, you could have told a story with just, one versus one. This one I'm okay with because there hasn't been a true story with the IC title and Braun yet. There is something that could come out of this as being pretty big, though. How are you feeling about this?
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I think I'm uneasy about it just because Fatal 4-Ways always have a lot of chaos. Like, I think they're harder matches to put together, that there's some things that can go wrong. Who did you say had the most favorable odds?
That'll be Dominic. Yeah, he's at minus 200.
I think that makes sense because, to be perfectly honest, if I'm setting up after the fact, I would love to see Dominic get it so that Penta could chase. And I think that would be really, really fun because I think your casual fans like, oh yeah, put it on Penta. Even though he has all the momentum to justify it, you'll squeeze so much more juice out of that fruit. I don't know why I said that. If you make
joke to go there, I'm going to refrain. Go ahead.
If you make Penta chase it, so I think Braun needs to be done. I would rather see him in some other story-driven stuff. I don't think the title is doing anything for him right now. So I'd like to see it go on Dom. I think that's a big deal, and I think that could be really good. And to be perfectly honest with you, Dom has been incredibly patient, and I think he had a tag title one time, if I'm not mistaken, maybe. Yep. But other than that, dude really hasn't done much, and I think it's his time.
Yeah, tag title with his dad. And then he had one in Judgment Day. So he's had it a couple of times. But, I do like the chase from Penta. And I'll say that I don't think that it has to resolve by SummerSlam. Let's stretch that out because there's a lot of great action between now and the end of 2025. Take that all the way to what is our final, or maybe even to Royal Rumble next year. It might be kind of fun too. All right, let's, we got a few more to hit here before we get to both of our main events. This one is one, it's going to be good because of who's in it. Minus 260 Logan Paul goes against plus 170 AJ Styles. If I was betting, that's the one I think I would bet on. If I could bet, I kind of feel that we see a Logan Paul loss here. And I don't know why. I don't know. It's just because or it may be the other way. There's so many ways that you could say this, or each side has equal weight, at least to me, is that, man, AJ is going to put him in his place. People would love that. That's how you do it at WrestleMania. Or do you continue to build on the mystique of Logan Paul and how this guy that's an outsider comes in and whips a guy who's been doing it for 30 plus years? Yeah. I think that's probably the way they're going to go. At least that's what the Vegas odds are telling us right here at minus 260. But if I was going to bet on one, might make a little money if AJ Styles wins this. $70 on my 100. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. To be honest, I think this is going to be a controversial take, and I know it. I think Logan Paul, I always say that Seth Rollins is the Shawn Michaels of our generation. I think Logan Paul is the AJ Styles of our generation. I really do.
Okay.
He's really good at what he does, and he's only going to get better. Dude, yeah, he did some rehearsing. He was helped through some stuff, but he did it.
He did it.
And he continues to do it with virtually no experience. I mean, the guy's a natural athlete, and he's done. I mean, last year he did that top rope springboard thing that none of us have ever seen before. We've seen sit down stuff. We've seen suicide dives. We've never seen anything like that before.
And I will say that I think the pulverizer might be my favorite finisher.
Oh my God. It's so good.
It's really good. It looks like
everybody.
I said this on Twitter on Monday. I was talking with a bunch of other people, and I said, I think that this is a move that I would envision AJ Styles coming up with.
Yeah.
To have it used on him.
I think this is a passing of the torch moment. Okay. We all know AJ only has a few years left on his contract. He says he's not wrestling past 50. I think this is a passing of the torch moment, and I think this is going to be, this has the potential to be the match of the WrestleMania season, with the exception of Cody Cena. I think this is, other than the marquee match, this is going to be the one.
All right, we've got the triple threat for the women's world title. Io Sky, the champ, at plus 120 versus Bianca Belair, minus 110, and Rhea Ripley at plus 210. Looking like Vegas is thinking that Bianca is going to walk away with the title at the end of this match, and what is perceivably a heel turn for Bianca Belair after the last couple of weeks. And I've just never really loved that it was all three women in here. You have Io Sky as the champ, and you have Bianca Belair as the winner of the Royal Rumble. That's what I think the match should be, because I have from the beginning, or whoever the champion was, because you remember they even billed it at Royal Rumble that whoever the winner was going to go up against either Rhea Ripley or Io Sky, because that match was coming up. Well, when that match happened, to me, that was over. But these ladies didn't think so, and evidently some decision makers in WWE didn't think so as well. I would prefer it being just one-on-one. However, it is a triple threat match, and it looks like Bianca is the favorite in this one. Just looking at all three of them, is Bianca your favorite in this?
I'll be honest with you. I don't have a favorite. I love all three of these women. I think they're great athletes. I love their individual stories and stuff like that. This match has been just terrible story-wise. We don't know why it's a triple threat. Rhea lost a bunch of times. I don't get the story. I don't know how we got here. So only because of that, I don't know what to do with it.
And nothing, I don't think there was anything to do with Rhea. There was no one to go up
No.
against Rhea. If to have a match, because you have to, I mean, come on, it's Rhea Ripley. She was one of the, at WrestleMania. So this is how you get her into it without making her the winner.
We would have been better off. And I understand this stuff is hard to land and whatever, sure. But even if she would have just come out and said, it's WrestleMania, let's do a big open challenge, you know, whatever. Yeah. And then Trish comes out, Molly Holly comes out, Mae Young, I don't know, somebody.
I think Mae has passed. I'm not sure she could come back. But there might be an impersonator. We are in Las Vegas.
Never say never in wrestling, Ant. Never say never.
We have our main events left, but before we get there, I want to remind you, we have a chance for you to win an entire year of Netflix. Want to watch Raw every single week on us? You got a chance to do it. If you haven't downloaded the free iHeartRadio app, do that. After you do, go search WrestleChat Podcast on there, and then you'll see two buttons. One says follow, one says preset. Hit both of those, and it'll add it to the preset right at the top of the free iHeartRadio app. You can listen to us every single week there, and then take a screenshot where you can clearly see that we are in your presets, and go over to WrestleChatPodcast.com, upload your screenshot, and you have a chance to win Netflix for an entire year on us. It is only good if you live in the United States, not paying any of those European fees. I think there's a tariff on Netflix if you do it, or something like that. Has something to do with that. Anyway, it's only good in the United States. It's void where prohibited. Go check out all the details at WrestleChatPodcast.com. Before we hit the main events, I got to say, we have one more match. We just don't know who's going to be in it, at least the competitor. We do have Randy Orton. We don't have anyone going up against him. Now, there's been talk of, there's two main names that have been rumbling. Aleister Black making his return. And he shows up and just appears out of the mist in the middle of the ring, or whatever dark arts have for him. Sin City would probably be the best place for Aleister Black to show back up in. Or we could get Nick Aldis taking off the suit and putting on the trunks. My vote is for that one, and we save the surprise for Aleister Black some other time. I'm ready to see. He's only 37 years old, 38 years old.
Yeah, he's not that old.
Man, this is crazy. I'm about to turn 48, and I can't believe
he's got
dude.
A lot of miles left on him, and that dude is yoked.
That's my vote. Do you have a vote? Is it the same?
Dude, I'd be happy with either. I would love to see Nick Aldis in a WWE ring. There's a special sauce to that you don't get with Aleister. But I need to be very clear. I was a huge Aleister Black fan when he was in NXT. Yeah. Not so much main roster Vince mode, Aleister Black, but I'm going to be happy either way. But Nick Aldis would have a little bit of special to it.
All right, it's time for the main events. Night number one, triple threat. Roman Reigns plus 250, CM Punk minus 190, Seth Rollins, good gosh, at plus 175. I just made a new character. It's a mix of those two. It's their love child. They are all battling for Paul Heyman. Evidently, I think that's what they win when it's all said and done. We do have a story here, but I don't think that I have a feeling there's a surprise in this. And you have one too. You just need a burp. You got to.
I'm just waiting for my turn. I'm just waiting for your turn.
I do think there's a surprise. I want to get to that in a second. So if you have one too, don't spoil it here. But tell me what you think about this.
I'm only going to talk about the match. I won't talk about the outcome because I have no idea.
How you feeling?
This match is still messy to me. It screams. How do we get all of our main event guys in WrestleMania without getting all of our main guys into WrestleMania? And is it going to be a killer match? Yeah. Are the entrances going to be just incredible?
Massive. Yeah.
I think this is one of those things where you're watching this and you're enjoying it for the love of the game rather than what it is.
Okay.
It's almost like Mr. T, Hulk Hogan, like, it's not going to stick or last, but you're happy you get it. So that's just the tricky thing for me is I to your point, are they fighting over Paul Heyman? Are they fighting for bragging rights? What is this about? Like, I understand the story tie-ins, but I've always felt since the beginning that CM Punk was the third wheel. I understand the Heyman connection. I get that. I understand that that's what they're resting their hat on. But this has felt the moments with more gravitas have always been with Roman and Seth because of how far back that goes. And then CM Punk's here just like, I just want Paul Heyman back. And that's fine. I'm going to love this match. I'm looking forward to it, but I'm not going to let them get by without me calling it like I see it and just say it's a messy story.
I think the surprise that I believe will tie up this messy story, and I think they've spent a year or longer doing research, and they found that there's nothing negative having a return of Brock Lesnar happen at WrestleMania 41. They're all for Paul Heyman guys. He walks in with CM Punk and he leaves with the Beast. That's my surprise. And I think that helps tie everything together.
Book it. Book it.
Now, you notice there's no betting odds.
Text Hunter right now.
I'll do it. Yeah. I think it's 1-800-HUNTER. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
What 1-800 Terra Rising?
That was disconnected.
Oh.
Yeah. I got a FedEx notice saying that number was disconnected. I think I think that they, honestly, I do believe that they've probably done some, I don't think they would go into if that is happening, and it does happen. And if there's ever a moment for Brock Lesnar to come back, they have to have done research saying that it's not going to negatively affect our multi-billion-dollar company. And I think they've taken their time, and I think they've done that. Well, and I think he comes back at this. And you know what's is funny? I didn't hear the podcast. I heard about the podcast that he was just on recently in the last couple of weeks saying, yeah, my wrestling career is over. That doesn't just willy-nilly fly out of your mouth. I think that happens when you want to put the thought of you ever coming back out, and then it's a bigger surprise. So we'll see if that happens. One final main event. And I think we kind of tied everything else up. There's nothing to really talk about until it happens with those guys. They've told the story really, really well in what they want us to know at the moment. It feels like they want to have a surprise for us because it's kind of left there in this match and in what they built up. Lastly, Cody versus Cena right now has Cody at plus 160, Cena at minus 210. There's lots of speculation that, John Cena is scheduled and advertised for the Raw after WrestleMania. Cody is not. All I say to that is Cody's not on Raw. Has he been on Raw? Sure. He's not on Raw, though. He's on SmackDown. If he wins, he just waits and goes to SmackDown on Friday. I don't think that's that big of a deal. Yes, I would expect him on Raw, but it's explainable why he wouldn't be on Raw, even if he did win. I don't know if it wasn't the end of John Cena's wrestling career, full-time wrestling career, however they want to put it, at the end of this year, I would say this is a story that just keeps dragging on for a little bit and continues to build. I don't know if it'd be a year long like it was with Cody and Roman, but I could see this lasting longer. How's The Rock going to be involved? Is Travis Scott going to be there? Is there, I've heard a lot of comparisons to Empire Strikes Back and the Return of the Jedi and all these other things. And this kind of leads, this whole match kind of feels dark from the very, very beginning. And how is that going to affect what happens in this match? And The Rock is advertised on Friday. Do we really need to hear from The Rock? Do you just want to see him, or are they going to walk together? There's speculation. It's like a spider web. It just continues to spread out and go everywhere. When it's all said and done, I have a feeling John Cena walks out with the title at night number 2. And the only hesitation I have in that is that doesn't necessarily leave the majority of people happy at the end of 2 nights of wrestling. I'll pass it to you. Why don't you chime in here?
I think people are happy if they see the story. We talk about that so much.
Sure.
Here's what I want to happen. History tends to repeat itself with limited exceptions. for big, terrible things, we try and learn and not let that happen. But in the sense of wrestling, I would love nothing more than to see the next generation corporate champion, because if you recall, Vince McMahon worked with The Rock in a corporate entity. Sure. We saw a version of that in the late 2000s, 2010s with Triple H and the Authority. But to be able to bring it back around and have The Rock be the Vince McMahon character and have Cena, of all people, be the corporate champion, and then for the next 6-8 months, whatever it is, it's just John Cena going, and the thing is, it still fits. Mm-hmm. It's John Cena going, if you want some, come get some. I'm the guy. You suck. If you want to be embarrassed in front of everybody, let's go. Let's just do it. Let's embarrass you in front of everybody.
Great. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then when Cena starts to slip a little bit, like when he's getting close to, we casually see The Rock and some henchmen come in and do whatever they're going to do. But I think we need, Cody's a great champion. I have no complaints with Cody's title run like some people do, but it goes without saying, he was more interesting chasing it. And him chasing John Cena on and off for the rest of the year, I don't want to be crude, really, but that's a nocturnal dream for me.
That's great storytelling for the rest of the year of Cody chasing that. And when it just made the victory was so much sweeter a year later after we saw, Brock Lesnar turn on Cody and them fighting at SummerSlam and him winning and Brock Lesnar shaking his hand and passing the torch to him, per se. We had some really cool moments only because Cody didn't win the title at WrestleMania 39.
Yeah.
Losing here could lead to so many great moments throughout 2025, especially if we get to the end of the year and say Cody wins it back. He doesn't have to win it back, but Cody winning it back would be just like sending John Cena off in a really cool way. And maybe it's because Cena sees the light and comes back to the good side, at the end of this, and sides with Cody at the end with Cody winning. I don't know what the end of the story is, but here at WrestleMania 41 this weekend, I think Cena wins. Please God, do not let the spinner title come back. I don't want to see the spinner title come back. Or if you do, just make it cooler. Come on.
I'm not a fan of the spinner title, but I would love it. I would love it. Just
they have to change the logo though, right? Don't they?
Yeah.
And that legally.
Yeah. Here's what I will say. If Cena wins, the story potential is just limitless, which I feel like there's some walls that are built if Cody keeps it. Imagine, and I know this is a long show, but just a few more seconds of fantasy booking. Imagine we get to SummerSlam and there's some type of promo. John still has the title. He's just being dominant, doesn't need any help. And Rock comes up to him in a segment or in the ring or something. He just says, "Hey man, we're getting closer to the end of the year.
Yeah.
It's time to put you down. It's time for you to ride off." And so, no, I'm not ready for that yet. Rock versus Cena. Rock goes over Cena, carries the title into next year's WrestleMania, where we finally get the Roman Reigns match.
You want to see that much of The Rock?
Yeah, I do. Okay. Call it the final run. And the thing is, Brock Lesnar conditioned us that we don't have to see our champion all the time.
Well, that's very true. He did do that. You know what? I think that what it could lead to as well with Cena winning here this weekend is seeing him face some people that you want to see him face. You want to see him go against CM Punk. You get that for the title. Now they don't win it. Randy Orton, so many of the just people that you want, matchups you want to see against Cena as a heel. So you've seen those matchups when Cena was babyface, but you haven't seen him when Cena was the heel. And so it would be totally different matches once again with,
Cena Rock and Cena Punk are the two things we have to have through the remainder of the year somehow.
I think Randy too. I think Randy's in that mix as well.
Yeah, that's a good one. I forgot about Randy.
Yeah, that's got to be a good one. Man, I'm excited about this weekend. I'm more excited to hear how that menu turns out when when you get to cooking it and you smell what MG is cooking. But excited to share some moments with you guys as well. If you don't follow us on Instagram, it's at WrestleChat Podcast. You can find me on X at the AntMan. You can find Michael at Michael Glavin. We're going to be all over those all weekend long, even before. Let's just connect. Let's have some fun. Let's make some predictions. Let's have some conversations. You can also leave a comment here if you're watching on YouTube, and let us know about any of these matchups, all the matchups for each night, and what you think the outcome will be, what you think the outcome should be, and where you think things should go. Love for you to chime in. That's what this is all about. And we appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Michael, going to be fun this weekend, man.
It is a great time to be a professional wrestling fan.
We'll see you post WrestleMania next week here on the WrestleChat Podcast.